Hello, hello. Wait, let me just make sure. Wait, 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 whoa, 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 whoa. I could hear that. I could hear that. Okay. Got it. Can you guys hear me? Yes. Yes. Hello. Waiting screen was muted. Oh, darn it. Okay. But hello, welcome. I'm sorry for the delay. So, I have a lot to say while I finish. Because what happened was I got too ambitious with my project. So, let me tell you what my project was. Basically, I was trying to combine the novel and the manga into like a video, and my plan was to post the video, and I got halfway through before I realized I would run out of time. So, what I ended up doing what I ended up doing was made something entirely new in like 5 hours. I promise I am very nearly done. I have like 2 more things to add and then I'm good. Let me give. Do I want to add this or not? Okay. Because I was so close. There it is. There it is. Ha 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 ha. This is the last thing because I was like, oh, I don't want to do half finished work again. And I'm so sorry. It was so close. And I needed a little bit more time. I'm glad I ended up making it. But as you can see, I still got delayed. It just happens. It just happens. But it's not an excuse. Well, actually, it's not an excuse. I really tried my best, but I'm really actually happy with how this ended up. So I'm really excited to share what I did end up finish with you guys. So I'm excited to discuss it. Hello, welcome. You are just in time because I just started. Oh, there we go. Done. Okay. I will live with it. It's not 100% perfect, but it is 142 slides. So. Oh, shoot. Okay, I'll live. 142 slides. Can post as VOD for recap for next. You're right, you're right. Oh, shoot. What happened here? Delete that. Okay. Add this. Add this. Leads to this. Duplicate this. Duplicate this. Wow, this is like really last minute cutting it close, but I'm happy with how it turned out. Delete that. Delete that. Okay. And then just for the sake of finishing strong. There we go. Okay, 142 slides. Are they... How was my Labor Day? It was okay. I didn't really do much. Things have been okay, just normal. Let me just export this. Now, when it's 142 slides, it's because I manually do certain things. 1 to 142. Instead of doing it as... Hold on, there we go. Download. Okay. Instead, sorry, I figured I should at least be able to like chat with you guys for a bit as I finish this because it was so close. I needed to finish that very last slide just for the sake of continuity. But yeah, welcome to September. I actually had something planned for like the beginning of September. Unfortunately, what ended up happening with September is it didn't work out. It didn't work out for a lot of reasons. I guess I can tell you guys because I don't think I'm going to do it anytime soon. I was going to do a merch. It was going to be for my birthday and it was going to be like a merch launch. But I didn't end up doing it because, as you know, there's a lot of uncertainty in regards to shipping and things like that. And originally I had chosen my... I can say the merch distributor because they had pretty good rates, but because of the situation, I just didn't feel comfortable at all doing merch because it was so uncertain. Hold on, I have to pick all 142 slides. Oh. Okay, hold on. Like this, open. Oh wait, hold on, I did the wrong one. Let's see. Where'd it go? This one. Properties. Wait, how come? Well, won't it let me select the folder? Oh, there it is. Okay. Delete all these. It wasn't just stickers. Hold on. Delete. Add files. Downloads. You can literally see my mouse, so. Okay, open. Okay. Alright. But yeah, so it wasn't stickers. It was actually a tote bag, a notebook, and a water bottle. And I actually made it a series because I wanted it to be, number one, a callback to some of the things that have happened before. Like the water bottle was one with a lid because, you know, no water at the desk. The second thing was the tote bag because I frequently have just realized I want a tote bag and I was like, oh, I can make merch. But it was more like for me, and then I realized, oh, this is pretty cute. Like, and then the last thing was the notebook because it was supposed to be for book club. So it was supposed to all come together in a really nice thing. Will the water bottles come free? No, you can do it yourself if you want. I don't recommend it though. But yeah, that was gonna be the thing, and I decided not to. It might be for a future launch, but we'll see. I just don't think it's the right idea right now. It was supposed to be something fun, and like, if you guys wanted to, it'd be something that we could have. Like, how would I say this? As I always say, I appreciate you guys, whether you are chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. But the merch was just something I was gonna make for myself, and I was like, you know what? I will share it with you guys and see if anyone's interested, because my birthday was coming up anyways. And then the other thing I was gonna do was actually a series of song covers, and I was gonna make them into different shorts. Okay, the thing with stickers is I actually had an idea for stickers, but I wasn't sure if the cost was worth it because the distributor I chose, which was Fourth Wall, which is very common for a lot of content creators, and that's why I was comfortable using it, their stickers are just okay. Like, there are ways you can make the stickers cuter, but I was just like, I don't know. I really wanted to do stickers though. Yeah, the covers were rough because what happened was every time I tried to download a program to record my vocals, I also like tried using a bunch, like I used GarageBand, I tried using some of the ones that are already available. It just didn't work, and I was like, oh, dang it. So I gotta do more research into that before I do it. But yeah, don't worry. In the future, I've learned a lot from this, and I hope to be able to attempt it again in the future. You don't record vocals on OBS. You can. It just sounds... How do I say this? Most people would not do that because they want the specific... I guess it's like... You either want the raw vocals so that people can help you tune it a bit, and then they do the timing for your video, which I found some people I felt like I was able to and comfortable with. I guess it's like commissioning to help me with this. But at the same time, you need to have the right file and the right kind of vocal because each of the... Sometimes they have different preferences. They're like tuners. I don't know. Yeah, I've tried that. It didn't work on my computer. And like my computer's been giving me some trouble lately, so it's probably not the program, it might be my computer. But I'm dealing with that, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. And I've kind of resolved it, but now I gotta think about what to do because it turns out one of my hard drives is giving my computer issues. Makes me sad because I have so much on that hard drive, and the hard drive itself is fine. I just don't know why it bugs out with the program. Yeah, it's fine. Anyways, I am 100% ready. Let's dive into the Land of Leadale. Hold on, I gotta move it. Why is it like this? Oh, no. If you guys are wondering why chat is not on screen, it's because I had it ready and then it didn't load. Today has just been lots of fun. Can I run it on my external? That's the problem I've been having. I find that the more I put on that external, it is giving my computer trouble. And I think it just doesn't like going the long way to run things. And that's why it's giving me trouble. And you know what? Fine. Fine. Anyways, let's talk about Into the Land of Leadale. In the Land of Leadale. Now, I have a note for you guys. I have a note. This should have been my first confession, but it took me some time. Oh, shoot. First confession, I only got through halfway of the novel. Now, this is for a lot of reasons. It is because I was trying to do my format, which is the combined novel and manga version, so I only got halfway. However, I will also say it's very dry. Very, very dry. And I don't mean it in a bad way because this is the original and I do really enjoy the story. However, I find that the manga adaptation is just very masterful in the way it expresses things. So I am basing this presentation and this book club discussion on the manga. It will connect to the novel and I will have some of the notes that I have from the novel to talk about. However, a lot of the panels and discussion points will be based around the manga. And although there might be some things in the novel I missed, I am choosing to focus on the manga because I just think it's done so well. It's honestly one of the best manga adaptations of a novel I have seen in a very long time. So I do highly recommend the manga, and I know many of you have probably read the manga, so this will probably work out for you guys. Yeah. It's what happens. Sometimes you want to read, but you can't. Like, I really tried, and I buckled down into reading it, but I find the manga to be so much more... I prefer it. I just prefer the adaptation. That's what I'm gonna say. We're gonna end it there. Okay. Let's start off with the beginning. We see birds chirping. Why does it keep doing this? Birds chirping. We're introduced to a very annoying bird who reminds me of the bird that wakes me up, and now every time I see them, they remind me of the mess they make everywhere they go. What now? And we are introduced to our protagonist. This is Keina, or more specifically, Kagami Keina. Now, there's kind of a differentiation. I did not go too deep into this because I do think the manga, the panels, the flow, expresses it so well, and sometimes it's without words, but I do think it's important to read it in its entirety, and I didn't want to put the whole thing in the PowerPoint. I don't think that's a good idea. But Kagami Keina is a young girl who spent pretty much her whole life in the hospital thanks to, number one, her grandfather, her uncle, and his family, who have taken very good care of her because after a very unfortunate accident where her parents did not make it, she has to live with the support of hospital machines. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, that gave her plenty of time to immerse herself in a game. And right now, she finds that she has woken up as this game character, Keina, who is level 1100, which is crazy because it's mentioned later on that the level cap is actually level 1000. The reason why Keina is level 1100 is because the devs made a very specific level up event where if you succeeded, you'd be able to break the level limit and go higher. So Keina and her guild or group of friends, it's kind of a mix. In the manga, Keina often refers to them as her friends, but in the novel, she specifically references that she is part of a guild. And the manga doesn't dive into that until later on, but her guild is basically known for people who are crazy about this game. They are overpowered. A couple things to note on her profile before we move on. Number one, let me see if you can see my mouse. You cannot see my mouse, unfortunately. But you can kind of see it, but it's in like an awkward, weird position. Why is it over there? Okay. Wow, this is going to be weird. Okay, over here. Wait, now you can't see it. Right here, it says she's a high elf. Now, high elves have two things to note. Number one, she has a lot of mana. Very naturally, like, they have high mana. Number 2, high elves can hear the voices of plants and things around them. Like a weather forecaster? Sorry, I'm not sure which part you're referencing. But they can hear the plants around them. Well, I guess that is, no. Like the plants around them, and that makes it difficult for them to like collect materials. And this is something that will be referenced later on. I don't include it in the PowerPoint, but it will be referenced later on. Now, there's also a title of third skill master. We'll talk about that a little later. Her equipment is also relevant. She's basically overpowered. Like, her equipment is like the best of the best. There are a couple reasons for all this. There are a couple reasons, but we'll get into those as we get into them. We're introducing some recurring characters. I have a blank space there because there's actually one character I debated on including. So as you can see, recurring characters, Karatas. It's actually Karata. Okay, The manga spells it 2 ways. The novel also spells it 2 ways. So now I'm curious why they both made the same mistake. But basically, Kartats is a dwarf. He is the youngest in their family, and we'll mention this a little more later. But it's also Karatas. Both ways are pronounced, and there's just an A in between. There's Mai, who is an elf and attack magic specialist, and Scargo, an elf, the oldest, and he's a cleric. Now, they have these titles. However, in this game, there are no specific, I guess, jobs, because the only thing you choose in this game is your race. So you're human, demon, draconian, elf, dwarf. And then after that, it's a combination of different skills and equipment that you can basically be and do whatever you want. It's like very, very customizable. Now you also see Lit and Meryl. There you see a lot of them. Meryl is the innkeeper of the inn that Kana is currently staying in, the one that she woke up in. Lit is her daughter, and one of the first people Kana meets in this world. Now the blank space is a character called Lotar. I don't have his picture because Lotar is more important in the novel than he is in the manga. And I can explain it in 2 ways. Number 1, Lotar is a hunter in the village. He's just a normal hunter. So in the novel, he's one of the people that Kana talks to in order to get to know, like, the environment and learn a lot of skills and understand how to use her skills, because she has a lot of skills. Like, Kana is a skill master. That implication should tell you that she knows a lot. I'll go more into detail. But Lotar has a lot more lines and screen time in the novel. In the manga, he's kind of there. He's there, but he doesn't really introduce himself or anything. Foster kids were given positions based on their skills. Higher stats makes higher skills. Yes. So that's all. The foster system is something I'll go into a little more later. I just wanted to introduce these characters because you'll see a lot of them. But yeah, there's a whole system for this. Now, what is Leadale, which is the game that Kana finds herself in? It's a virtual reality, and I don't think this is what MMO means, but this is what they wrote in the translation. Massively multiplayer online role-playing game. As I mentioned, it is completely customizable, huge. Apparently, it was a world phenomenon sensation. Also, to note to anyone who has read or is interested in this novel was one of the first of its time to make this genre of like waking up in a game or finding yourself in a game. At the time, this is a very old novel. It was very different, and the author does mention that made them unsure. And actually, what I've learned, I was wrong, so I have to update you guys now. This story's not done. The author is currently in the process of still writing it. So even though we have 8 light novel books right now, 8 light novel volumes out right now, they are still writing. They are not done. We don't know what the end of the story is. And that's both interesting and crazy to me because the last novel for this, I think, published in 2023, early 2023. So this is ongoing. Now, Kana goes through, I didn't include it, but she basically goes through a lot of, oh my god, I woke up in a game. Oh my goodness, this is real. And she goes through a series of emotions, which I think the manga portrays really masterfully. She realizes she's tasting food, she's smelling, she's hearing, like everything feels real. She's not dreaming. One thing I will say, in the novel, Kana actually has a breakdown in the novel, like almost a full breakdown very early on. Contrast that to the manga, where she does kind of like is dumbfounded. She doesn't know what's going on, but she pulls herself back together relatively quickly. And I think she's kind of like in denial, but at the same time trying to just understand what's going on. In the novel, she has a breakdown. And I think that's interesting that they chose to go in such a different direction, which is why I really wanted to contrast the novel and the manga in my like actual video. But that's gonna take a while. I spent 2 weeks on it. It's gonna take me a while. It's only been 10 minutes and I have like half of the novel to go. But yeah, so basically she has her breakdown. No, she doesn't have a breakdown. She pulls herself together and decides to just move forward. I should also note, there's a character that I cannot show because they never show themselves. Their name is Key. Key is really important because Key was actually the life assistant. I won't say the other word, but their job was to help Kana with her day-to-day tasks because Kana actually couldn't move at all. When she was in her hospital bed, she could not do anything. So Key was the one who helped her with a lot of her day-to-day tasks, and Key actually is here with her, still assisting her, not as a physical entity, but sort of like, I guess, a voice that both listens and warns, and I guess gives her that sense of, oh, this is real, but I have someone with me who knows, like, they can't talk to her. And I don't mean that as in like they can't communicate with her, but like they are still her assistant, but they cannot engage in conversation with her. She can ask them for tasks and specifically, I guess, to like as reminders, but it's very limited. But it's basically something that grounds her to know that Key exists here with her. Welcome! I'm still in the mist. Now, as we continue, Key will continue to be a very important presence for Kana because I think Key is what allows her to realize when she can't find the logout button, when she can't contact the admins, when she is informed by Key, because Key is the one who tells her that there was a blackout at her hospital. And because of that blackout, Kana is very, very aware that there is very, very, very low chance that her original body is still here. Because as she mentioned, and I mentioned, she was completely dependent on the hospital machines to live. Yeah, Key is her emotional support. Key is her... We're gonna end at emotional support. I don't want to use the other word. But that's basically what happens as she goes and collects herself. Hold on, it keeps removing. Oh, I did go through it. I thought I didn't make the slides. So Kana wakes up as her game character 200 years later. Wait, can I change something? I don't like the slide. Can it just be fade? Oh, shoot. I'll use fade. I think it's just easier, and with the way I've planned this out. 200 years later, she finds out that basically she finds out that the time period she's in is 200 years later than the game she played. And her real body is gone. So poor Kana, she's really going through it. Thankfully, she has Key, and she meets some other very, very nice people who help kind of ground her. Now, as we move forward, I'll go back to the 200 years later and a different part. But basically, Kana is the master of expressions. Like, whoever adapted this manga, their expression game is so strong. It is so great, so good. Because I literally had to make slides that were titled My Favorite Expressions. And this is why I highly recommend the manga over the novel. And I do not say this lightly because I think the manga hits on a lot of really key points, and it actually is a lot... they basically did a really good job. I think they are big fans of the novel, or they are very masterful in their craft, because I have no notes for them on anything they could have possibly missed. Let me see. Okay, so I have notes here, and like I'm not following formal notes. I will say part of the reason I'm trying this new format is to like wing it and to be more casual in the way I talked about this. So what happened is Kena finds out that she's 200 years later in the future, right, in the game. So this is a map of the past. There were 7 different places. Now, Kena was frequently in what I remember to be white and green, and that's also where the territory happens to be. Now, for Kena, one of the most important things as a skill master, and again, I have to go into this later, it's more relevant later, is that she has a tower. And this tower is important. It has her items. It's something that grounds her again to know that this exists. What's really important is this tower. I'm not emphasizing this enough. I can't say everything now. It will make more sense later. But just keep it in mind. The towers are important. Now, this map is also really interesting because what happened in the future is that the 7 countries that you see here, all the colors, went to war. And now when they went to war, apparently the gods, which I don't know if they're the game devs or if this was after, but the gods came and split the 7 into 3 equal territories, and they assigned 3 leaders. So now there are only 3 countries instead of 7. So technically, it's a mess. It's a mess for Kena because she has no idea what's going on, right? I will also say the village she woke up in is a village that she knew to be very, very bustling, very busy. It's a trade spot, but now it's just a very small rural town. So there's a lot of things throwing her off. That's why she has a lot of doubt as she's moving forward. Now, there's also something else that really grounds her. Now, this is why I said the tower is important. Kena, when she mentions her tower to the rural townsfolk and to the fellow people, they mention the legend of the Silver Ring Witch. Now, this is Kena's legend. We'll never understand why it can just be actual. Here's the thing. When this story came out, it was original. Isekai, I think, is very intriguing and very fun to explore for people because we hear about fantasy a lot. I think there's no shortage of fantasy books, but isekai as a genre, to imagine how you or a normal person would be in this situation, that's basically, I see why it's so attractive, and I enjoy it as well. There's no shortage of fantasy, I will say, although isekai has really taken over this genre, but it's, how do I say this? I can't say it as stressed this enough. Like, this story was a pioneer at the time, and I'm pretty sure, like, it's the reason I got into this genre. So let's show some respect to the originator. And of course, I don't, like, there's a lot of things. I think Ranma was also kind of an isekai. There's, like, a lot of other stories where they have, like, a person gone to another world. Inuyasha is one of them. But I will say that this was very, very fresh when it first came out, and I really love it. That's why we're sharing it. Anyways, going into it, the legend of the Silver Ring Witch is really important. I give you guys a little bit of the backstory here. So in a battle in Brown Country, which you saw earlier on the map, there was a dragon. But the dragon was suddenly hit by a meteor, and I did not show all the meteors, but I thought this one was really funny because of Kena. Now, Kena is known as the Silver Ring Witch because the silver ring is actually a very special piece of equipment she has, which, number one, boosts her mana recovery and allows her to cast simultaneous spells. So spells that she could essentially use to cause a disaster, as you can see from the various meteorites in the sky. Kena is epic. Kena is the one who destroyed the dinosaurs. But yes, basically, This legend confirms to Kana that players once existed in this world. This is not a world where it's similar to the game she played. This world is still the game she played because they know her legend. So not only does she have Key, not only does she have the tower, but now she also has this legend that confirms to her, yes, this is the game I played. This is something I am familiar with. I'm not totally thrown into, another place. And I think that's why the tower in particular is so important to her. Because I think if she hadn't confirmed that players existed, the tower could have just been, it would have been a lifeline, but it wouldn't have been as strong as a lifeline as if before she confirmed the legend of the Silver Ring Witch. As you can see, I didn't emphasize it. The tower, she's so excited to see it. So excited. Now, this is my favorite scene because I don't include a lot of Kana's interactions with the villagers. Don't get me wrong, the interactions are so heartwarming and they are so important to a lot of the story. The villagers are important, but I had to be very limited in what I include, and I do encourage you guys to read it yourself. It is probably available at your local libraries. I highly encourage you to check it out, and you will see so many great moments. I do think that if I could, I would have included it. But basically, this is my favorite scene because one of the things Kana does when she arrives in the village is she tries to buy things. Now, you would think 200 years later in the future, inflation, right? But you know why we know this is fantasy? It didn't. There was no inflation. Now, well, was it inflation? Is it technically inflation? Basically, something that was very cheap to Kana before is extremely... I guess this is inflation. Well, damn, I lost my point. I wrote the wrong thing, my bad. Inflation occurred. Something that to Kana was really common and really, I guess, affordable is now very expensive. And it's not like people cannot make a living. It's just that I'm guessing, my own hypothesis, is without the players, essentially the players in the economy, there was just a huge drop in population. So a lot of things were lost, a lot of items, recipes, and one of the things that changed is the currency. Now, when Kana was trying to pay for things, they were basically, she flaunted her wealth and she didn't know it was wealth. So you see these two buffoons here? They tried to break into her room to steal from her because they thought she was a dumb rich girl. And fortunately, Kana has a lot of spirits because one of the benefits of being the high elf race is that you can have mana, and one of the things that come with mana is apparently spirit summons. Now, I don't think spirit summons are limited to elves because nothing is limited to a particular race besides like specific stats. However, Kana does utilize a huge variety of summons, and I do make sure to show you guys as many of them as possible because I really like them. I've always thought it'd be super fun to have a bunch of summons, but you definitely need the mana to keep them up. In this case, her summon is this lightning lion, who after he chases away the dumb robbers, and by the way, I'm not even being mean to them. In the manga and the novel, they are referred to as troublemakers who just hang around the village. So even the village is like, they live here, but they're like, they're not... they're not someone who will cause much trouble. They will cause trouble, but it's not like a big trouble. They don't really have influence. So I love scenes like this where like Kana snuggling up to her summons. It's so cute. And for some reason, I guess this is how it feel if you were snuggling with a Jolteon, because this is a lightning lion and Jolteon is a lightning dog. But anyways, on to my next favorite scene. As Kana kind of affirms what she wants to do, which is find a tower, confirms she is going to move forward and she's going to do what she can, she tries to get to know the village. And I think that's really great and really positive for her, where she tries to communicate with people and she tries to spend time with the village and just experiencing things. Because don't forget, Kana was someone who could not move, confined to a hospital. So now that she has the ability to walk, run, eat, and I say eat because it turns out she wasn't able to eat or taste anything. So even the food, like the fact that she could taste food was one of the signs to her that, ooh, this is real. And it's something she has, I don't know, it was really impactful in the manga. I don't want to understate it and I don't want to overstate it, but I recommend you check it out. Anyways, this is another of my favorite scenes because as Kane is getting to know everyone, one of the people she does get close to in the novel is Lotar, who is a hunter. Now, Kana, because she has so many skills and abilities and she's overpowered, her abilities are kind of crazy to the villagers. And in particular to the hunters who, make their living dealing with these monsters that Kana is dispatching like nobody's business. So one of the things Kana does when she goes around is fight monsters. Now, in this case, it was great for Lotar because he actually found himself in a bit of trouble. He was trying to, not show off, but prove that his experience and the time he spent honing his craft was worth it. And he was, trying to look for a challenge. And then this gigantic bear found him. Thankfully, Kana was there, able to rescue him. And did I or did I not show it? I did. As you can see how gigantic that bear is. If it was not for Kana, Lotar, who is this hunter... hold on, let me see if I can... You can see my mouse, this guy. This is Lotar. He becomes thankful to Kana, especially because she's very humble, as many of the manga characters are. But Kana is someone who is not overly humble, but she's just like, yeah, this is typical. 200 years ago, this was nothing to the players. So it's kind of funny because she's not humble intentionally. It's more like this is just her standard, but times have changed so much that she is literally a living legend. Makes it a lot of fun though. And you can see, I included this panel because you can even see, all the different bubbles are different plant life. And this is just something that Kana deals with as she walks around, because literally in the fantasy world where there's nature everywhere, Kana can't help but step on the ground, step on grass. And the trees definitely let her know, and I don't think I could handle that. As cool as being a high elf sounds, that sounds really difficult. But I suppose some people figure it out. Anyways, as Kana reaffirms what she wants to do with herself, this is a very important panel, she kind of finds comfort in where she is. Now, something really important I wanted to discuss, because there are other things that happen in this volume. I try to summarize the main points and get through the thick of it, but there's a lot of really cute moments, and I think they're really important for the emotional connection that Kana forms. I focus more on plot points. But the magic system in this is convoluted. I have no other way to describe it. As someone who has read the novel, this is one of the things that got to me in that I could not make heads or tails of it. As you can see, she mentions you need Aya and Iyahara for fire magic, Ota for water magic. They never elaborate on this. I don't know if they do in the latter half of the novel, but in the first half of the novel where they are engaging in this, they don't elaborate what these are. Are these elements? Are these skills? Are these basic affinities? Things like that. And then all you see is, for example, sometimes she'll do things like spring water, purification, insulation, preservation. And in the novel, what she does is she is layering spells. But she's not just layering spells, because apparently you need a spell in order to layer spells. And apparently you have to do it, how do I say this? There are spells that can preserve things, but you still have to maintain them, clean them, but they'll preserve for 50 years. And it's I get it, but at the same time, it feels kind of redundant, kind of convoluted. As you can see, the other type of magic, you can see it says magic skill, flame type addition, boost. And then you have to do magic skill, additional preservation, level 9. And then... what? Because let me tell you, one of the things that they do mention very specifically is that the skills in the novel, in order to be a skill master, which Kena is the third skill master because she is the third person in the game to ever achieve this, they must master 1,500 magic skills and 2,500 crafting skills. Now, when I heard that, I was like, holy cow. And then I thought, does that include the levels? Is that like one skill, 9 levels, you have to master all of them? Or is the 9 included? Does that make sense? And I was like, dang, this is a crazy game. In the novel, they said skills you had to learn just to learn other skills. Yes. So some of the skills that are things that you can learn through quests, through NPCs. Some of the skills were skills you had to trigger. Some of the skills you had to do in a chain. So like once you learn one, then you can learn the other. But if you did not do them in the right order, you couldn't learn the skills. That's why I think it's very convoluted. I think if I was playing this game, I would not be able to maintain my interest very long because I only picked out 3 examples because I cannot believe there were already 3 varying different things about magic. And let me say, I think the manga illustrated them great. It broke it down, it made it very clear. The novel, part of the reason it took me so long to turn my vision from the novel and the manga is because of these magic skills. The order, the methodology, it's so convoluted. Convoluted is the only word I have, and we're gonna move on. But I wanted to mention the magic system because, you know, the magic system will occur again. Now here are some of my favorite expressions from this volume. You can see Kena facing off with another bear. That's not the same bear she kicked, that's a different bear. But in the novel, she does knock down a couple of these bears, so she becomes known for this. There's even a special illustration in the novel because it just becomes her signature. It's so funny that she like drop kicks these gigantic tusked bears. Now I also adore the way they draw expressions in this. So kudos to the artist. It's so cute. It brings so much life and character to this. Moving on to volume 2. We've only been in volume 1. Magic again, because what happens? Well, Kena finds a merchant caravan is coming to the village. As the merchant caravan arrives, there is someone who is very brash, very rushed. He rushes in and he asks for alcohol, hot water, and wipes, and towels, not wipes. Now, it turns out there's someone who is injured, and Kena finds out that they think this person is not going to make it. Simply, they do not have the materials or the skills to save him, so Kena moves forward. Now, do you see here, it says special skill, double spell. Previously, Kena had taken 4 skills and multiplied them, and I don't know if that means she had to cast them one by one or if she casted them a quadruple spell. But apparently, this special skill, this double spell, in the novel they specifically say only 3 people in the entire country can cast. Now apparently 4 because of Kena. It is very much a lost art. So Kena, as she's using her magic skills, you can see area of effect recovery, magic skill continued healing, magic skill single target recovery, magic skill poison purification. Now, I would like to say, I did not change the order of this. She does not cast double spell again. She cast double spell once, and then she cast at least 4 spells in order to heal this person. I say at least, because I think in the novel, when I was counting, I think it was 6. But because they were layered, I see why the manga put them together, or I missed the panel. But it was crazy. I don't understand the magic system at all. And at the end, he's all good. It's totally fine. I do want to give kudos to the typography of this because this is so cool. I think this is such a great typography to use. It really gives like the digital element. But yeah. Now, here are some important maps for you guys who like maps. We had seen this map of the colors before, right? Here is a map of the present that Kena buys from the merchant. Wait, what happened to the character sheet? Did I not have... Hold on. Oh man, oh no. So I had a slide and it was for recurring characters in volume 2. What happened to that? This confusing part is the simultaneous magic effects part. I agree. There are so many confusing parts. There's also the continuing healing part, and there's also what does it mean by double spell extends the spell and doesn't allow you to multicast? Like, is it not multicast? That's why a lot of it is difficult. Now, unfortunately, I think I'm missing a panel. Let me just check really quickly. Do I not have it? Oh, it's later. I just moved it. Okay, my bad. It's still here. It's just been moved. So here's a map, and as you can see, let me try to use my mouse. This is white, and this is, oh no, now it's gone. Okay, that is green. So Kana is currently somewhere here because she's in Felskilo, which is like here. So they basically turned this into thirds: top third, middle third, and bottom third. Helpschner, Felskilo, and then Otaloquest. That one has not come up yet, so I don't know a lot about that one. But we'll hear more about Felskilo and Helpschner, because right now she is here. And yeah, I'll go into that. Here are the recurring characters for Volume 2. I don't know why this is so far back. As you can see, we have Elena, which is the merchant who had brought the caravan into the rural village. There's also Arbiter. Arbiter's a mercenary who is in charge of the protection. The person Kana saved, which is Kensian, is one of Arbiter's men. Now, Lopez Harvey we'll see later, and Agaido and Lonti will also see later. I will mention them when they come up. So basically what happens as Kana is talking to the mercenaries, she pays them to basically tell her what's going on in the current state of the world. They're kind of shocked because, let's just say, when I say Kana's common sense and their common sense is very different, it's done really well. I love the way they express it. So one of the first things Kana asks is about the different kids. Because at this point, she has already gone to the Guardian Tower, and the Guardian Tower has reminded her of her kids. Now, I did do this a little bit out of order. I was trying to do it in a way you kind of see later why my order is a little bit wrong. But basically at this point, Kana is getting information from them, and that's when she learns who her son is. He's now a high priest. He's a very high position. And they are shocked that she had a son because, of course, she does not look like she has a son. But elves live up to 500 years old. Dwarves, which is her other son, lives up to 300 years old. So fortunately, all 3 of her kids are still here. Oh, I did mess that up. See, I had the whole effect ready. I love the expressions. I think, like, some of the expressions are just so funny. Everyone's shocked she has kids. Not just one, I actually have 3. Very casual, very casual. Now let me introduce you to her son, Scargol. Scargol is, Tamaki from Oron High School Host Club if he had magic. Now, this will be more dived into, but Scargol is introduced as this very flamboyant, very well-liked, very capable, very important figure. He's literally the most important third most important person in the country. First is the king of Felskelo. Second is the prime minister of Felskelo. And Scargol is third. Bold of you to assume Tamaki doesn't have magic. You're right. I shouldn't have assumed that. Of course he does. This is Tamaki in another world then. This is if Tamaki found himself in Leadale. High Priest Scargol, eldest of the 3 siblings. We'll get more into him. As you can see from the little chibis in the corner, he is one of the 3. Now onward to the royal capital, because Kana, although she has really enjoyed life and she has done a lot to the village, I really like the fact that Kana took the time to kind of establish herself. There are a couple of things I didn't mention, including online, offline ports. If you guys are curious about that, I will address that later. The other thing I didn't go too much into is the project. She actually completed a couple of, I guess, like improvement projects to help the village. One of the things she did was she made a well that was really easy to use, and that's why she had to use the purification maintenance spell in order to well, no, that was actually for the bathhouse. So she also made a bathhouse and a well. But basically, she made a well that's really easy even for kids to use because she got really close with Lit and she realized that, grabbing water from the well is really difficult. The second thing she made was a bathhouse so that everyone could take baths and have hot water whenever they wanted to. And that actually helps her kind of ground herself again by actually doing something. And I think she feels a real sense of accomplishment from that. However, she still has things she needs to handle and address. And I don't know if did I mention it? Is it going to be brought up later? It might be brought up later. But she has an agreement with her tower guardian, which he has no name. He's just a tower guardian. And that's part of the reason why she's going to the royal capital. I did miss quite a few things, didn't I? No more stinky villagers. Everyone's gonna be clean. And it's interesting because they don't mention this in the manga, but in the novel, the village agrees to let her do it, and they agree that Kana and all the villagers will get to use the bathhouse for free, but from now on, anyone who visits the village will need to pay to use it, and the villagers themselves will pay for it, quote unquote, by taking turns maintaining it. And I think that's really fair. I really thought that was clever. The anime that we're going to watch on Sunday goes into none of these details. Part of the reason I am telling you all these things is the anime skips through everything and everything appears out of thin air. One of the reasons I got so annoyed with the anime, even though I will say the anime is a favorite for a lot of people, so I am excited to do a watch along with you guys, but the anime skips through so much of this village bonding and development that I think it was really important to mention. Sorry for the spoilers, but it was just spoiling you that it was not there. Onward. Now, we're going to talk about currency. Normally, I don't talk a lot about currency in like these books because it's not really relevant to me. Besides the fact that Kana, her sense of money is very different. So to Kana, 8 silver coins was pretty standard to buy her like food and maybe one night stay at the inn. Turns out it can buy her 50 nights. So, is that inflation? That's not inflation, right? They basically, their currency crashed. So now things that were previously, like silver coins, which were previously their standard, became much more expensive. But the reason I bring up this is you see the platinum crystal coin right there in the corner? That coin, when Kana sees it in the novel, she immediately knows a spell that allows her to create it. And Elena the merchant, is shocked, absolutely flabbergasted, because apparently the secret to making that crystal coin is only known by probably 2 people in the country, and one specific craftsman makes it. So Kana casually making it basically feels very dangerous. However, in the novel, they don't go into that much detail besides Elena telling Kana, hey, don't do that. That is like a country secret. And Kana's like, oh, okay. And she just like shrug emoji. It's not a big deal to her because she knows the skill. And I think that's so interesting that they don't include that in the manga. I do think that maybe it was a detail they thought wasn't really important, but I do also wonder if, and by the way, because Kana's son is a craftsman, I wonder if it's Kana's son is the one responsible for making these crystal coins, which are like pretty much top value currency. Deflation, yeah. Very important lore for manga. You're right, dang it, they should have included it. Light novel for all the plot, manga for most of the plot, anime to get... The thing is, the manga does a better job of the... Okay, I guess it's not a better job. But yeah, opens up a lot of thoughts. Yeah, that's why I was like, I have to mention this. It's one of the things in my notes here. Now, Some of my notes are out of order, but it's fine. She recognized the emblem as a family crest. Exactly, yeah, right? I remember her saying, like, it's a very familiar crest to her. And it does make me wonder, like, is it of her family crest? Is it of previous family quest? Like, it brought up so many different questions. That implies another player exists. Actually, I will say, this is not spoilery, but it turns out that NPCs, like, one of the reasons why Kana was explaining the magic system to Meryl is because Meryl was asking, hey, can I learn magic? And Kana's like, oh, you have to go through these steps and learn this. So NPCs can only learn magic if they have specific affinities, talents, and things like that. However, players, and very specifically NPCs that were raised by players, so the other characters, like Kana's kids, they can learn spells like players. So one of the most important things about this game is a skill called scroll creation. Scroll creation allows skill masters to turn skills into scrolls that as soon as they open it, you'll learn a skill. It's like a skill item. However, only players and NPCs related to players can learn that way. So there's a lot to think about. It's not a spoiler because I don't really go into detail about this later. I will go more into like the foster system, but it's such an interesting point because it will become relevant soon in like the fourth volume. Anyways, here we go. Excuse me. As Kana leaves to, the royal capital, she is on the way, by the way. She's not there yet. On the way, they are traveling to the royal capital and she is using her magic. I wanted to show this because I thought it was really beautifully done. Excuse me, I keep hiccuping. It's really beautifully illustrated in like what I imagine magic to be. Magic in like some places has kind of gotten boring because it's just like fireball. We'll go more into that. But there's so interesting the way that they have decided to construct the magic system, even though I find it convoluted. And what is she creating? A wood golem. Now, this wood golem is supposed to protect them because she is, again, traveling with Alina and Arbiter. And look at how tiny he is. He's tottering. He's just like, ooh. Now, don't underestimate him. Apparently, he's strong enough to take on Arbiter and various ogres. Look! You see, these ogres, by the way, are ogres that had previously attacked Kensian, the guy who, Kana had to use her double skill on, and they wanted revenge because Kana had apparently already chased them away once with the lightning lion, because she found them hanging around the village, and now they wanted revenge, only to be chased away by the tiny little wood golem. Adorable. And no one knows, but Kana uses it as her, her summon. Now, after this very uneventful event, they arrive at the royal capital of Felskilo. Now, keep an eye out for this. You will see this image come up again in the future. But here is the map of the basic, I guess it's like the basic. It's not the entire map, but this is the important parts. There's a river, and then the common and noble sectors are separated by the river. In the center, they call it the sandbar. It's so silly. But it's not a boat. It's called the sandbar. That's where the church, Royal Academy, and workshop are. Now, interesting enough, all three of Kana's kids work in those three places on the sandbar. As a personal side note, that is Parasite. I'm not surprised if it's like based on European architecture. But yeah, interesting to note that all of Kana's kids live on that sandbar, and this will become relevant. So, this is another map. Oh, oh man, I must have duplicated. Because the thing when I do my slides is I duplicate them and to do different effects, and apparently I duplicate too many. No wonder I thought the maps came in too early. Now, this is important. The reason I bring up the maps again is you can see here. The White Kingdom and Green Kingdom used to fight control for the sandbar. Why? Because there was a special limited edition battle item there. White and green. And that's where Kana is. So Kana is wondering why in the world did they build the capital on a battle zone, which she's kind of concerned about. The Seine River, that's not really a river. It's like, I've heard the rumors. I heard what happened during the Olympics. That's more like a biohazard. Well, this is very important because she's like, if that thing's still active, wouldn't that be pretty dangerous? And I don't include it, but there's even a panel where she basically jinxes herself and she's like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So this is just a really cool panel. And there's a whole side plot where one of the first things she does after she becomes an adventurer, because she registers as an adventurer, that's her goal. Everyone thinks that she should just have her kids take care of her, but she's like, no, I am independent. I don't want to live off my kids. So she's going to be an adventurer. And there is two people. What is his name? Abado? The person I introduced earlier, and Lonti. The old man is not as relevant. He's just the prime minister of the country. Lonti, however, is a student at the Magician's Academy, and she is also one of the people that Kana meets for this job. And apparently they are supposed to collect a young boy who is not really relevant. Not really relevant, but I want to show Kana's cool moment. She here is running on the walls, walking on water, and this is the little person they're supposed to grab in general. He's not important. He's just like the prince of the country. He has like no manners. Very typical. But I love this because at the end of the day, after Kana has done all of her exploits, everyone's like, hey, get a drink and tell us what happened. Because apparently people even took bets. It was so funny. Because one of the things she did was she ran on water and chased this little boy who was with his friends taking a rowboat, and they were betting on if Kana would win or not. And of course she won. But it was very funny. I adore it. I loved it. Now, we're going back to Volume 1 because now the Skill Master Towers are relevant. It's so funny. I'm not going to read it out loud. But basically, there's a specific spell a skill master must recite in order to enter the tower. It is very reminiscent of, shall we say, catchphrases? Very epic, Power Ranger-esque summoning, kind of thing. It's very cool. But it's embarrassing. I didn't show it, but there's a panel where she was very embarrassed by it. Nope. Let's go into what skill masters can do. Scroll creation. As I said, skill masters have mastered all 1,500 magic spells and 2,500 craft spells. What this means is now they can make a scroll. So instead of the player having to go do specific things or quests or NPCs, they can just learn the skill from the scroll. That meant a lot of normal people without manners, consideration, boundaries, and general common sense would go around harassing skill masters. I'm not even kidding. The way they described it in the novel was that they basically were going to riot and destroy the game if the devs did not do something because they were going crazy. And considering these are people who had spent so many hours devoted, probably spent a lot of time in a game and were literal experts, it's not surprising that the devs took action because I think there were at least 14 of these skill masters had already quit the game because they couldn't stand the harassment. It was described much worse in the novel. In the manga, they kind of are just yeah, he just went into retirement. No. The guy basically nuked his account. Oops. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. What basically happened was, now, these skill masters had what is called the skill transfer quest. So instead of the NPCs giving out skill quests, it was the skill master who could do it. Now, this is important because, as I said, skill masters have towers. What are these towers? These towers are the quest that players must complete. And once they complete it, they are able to request one skill scroll of their choice. So instead of being harassed, was that the other image? Yeah, it's this one. I did it in the wrong order. So now, instead of chasing down the skill masters, they have to complete the quest. Now, why this is relevant? Kana's quest is you must reach the top of her tower in 24 hours. It is several hundred meters tall, set up to constantly add more stairs as soon as anyone starts climbing, a field that blocks flight spells to prevent cheating, a trap that transports people outside of the tower if they ever stop moving, and other things to prevent people from, trying to get through. Kana's quest is not difficult, but she does say you have to constantly move for 24 hours in order to complete her quest. And she's like, it's pretty tame because the skill masters were so pissed off at the player base. They basically used their skill towers to enact what is called sweet, sweet revenge. It was described very interesting, some of the challenges that they had to go through. I think you can see one of them is a coliseum where you have to fight 100 monsters. Another one was a quiz where you basically were always going to get things wrong because the person who made the quiz was a certified genius. So it was like quests like these where the skill masters vented. And it was so funny because one of the things they never mentioned in the game, I looked, they never mentioned about Leadale. Is there a time difference? Because I don't know if you guys know, there's another game. It is another novel. It's called The Overpowered Blacksmith or something like that. I read it until I realized it was a harem, then I dropped it. But basically, when you spend an hour in real life, that is like 10 hours in that game. So there is like a delay, and it does mess with their sense of time. But they don't mention that in Leadale. So I'm trying to understand if anyone reached the top of Kana's tower by spending 24 hours trying to climb. I can't imagine it. And hers is tame. She says hers is tame. But yeah, that's basically skill masters and skill towers. Now, the guardians are people who are in charge of dealing with that because instead of, for example, Kana having to stay at her tower 24/7, the guardian is in charge of granting them the reward once they completed the quest and also to like do maintenance and things like that. Her guardian reminds me a lot of, what is it called? The Hidden Temple. If you guys, I don't know how old you guys are. If you guys are old enough to know the Hidden Temple, you're probably old enough to be watching. But the Hidden Temple was a TV show on Nick where it was like one of those physical challenge reality shows where like kids would go and try to complete various physical challenges to win a prize at the end. This is what it reminds me of. He instead has a very sassy attitude. Apparently, he used to be a normal NPC. He talked normal, was very typical, but now he has a lot of sass and a lot of attitude. I didn't include it, but I highly recommend it because it's very funny. Yes, I know I'm old. I constantly tell you guys this. Now, what's really important is the guardian, her tower's guardian, asked her to go check out all the other guardian towers. Now, what's really important is that these guardian towers are powered by mana, so the skill masters have to give them mana for them to work. And that must be why a lot of them are considered, you'll see the condition of some of the towers in the future, but they're kind of like not working as they used to, which is probably why people don't know what they're for. But one of the reasons why Kana wants to look for these towers is going to be explored a little bit later. Anyways, Kana's next destination, which is brought up by one of the merchants, is she asks if he has heard any rumors about other towers. He mentions that in the Northern Kingdom, in the middle of a lake, there's a beautiful castle no one has ever been able to enter. Now that is between black and purple. Is interesting. If you guys don't remember, she's currently in between white and green, which is in the middle. Black and purple are to the north. She thinks that it sounds very familiar, but will she head there? To be continued. Now, as Kana is trying to now she's in the royal capital. She's trying to meet up with her kids. She first heads to the capital church. Now her son is apparently a busy man, and they don't let random people meet it. Very reasonable. She doesn't mind. The next place she goes is the sandbar workshop, where she finally meets her son. And it's so funny because the first thing he says is just like, "Mom?" And even though she acknowledges they're her kids and she says they're her kids, she's still like flabbergasted that they call her mom. I don't know. It's one of the things where I was like, really? I don't know about that. Because she does call them her kids, but maybe it is because she mentally still thinks of herself as a young girl. But she gets right into it. She's very affectionate. She adores her kids, and they obviously really care about her. You'll see more of this later. So as she's telling her son about her plans, I guess that's what it is, she does things as any mom would do. They are. And it turns out that her basic sense of things, like when she hits her son, apparently at level 1100, her power strat is like nothing to scoff at. It's probably pretty crazy. But her son is strong enough that he only gets a small bump. It's fine. He's fine. After she leaves, she finds out her daughter works at the Magic Academy on the sandbar, but she can't meet her easily. So she's like, it's fine. Knowing you guys are all well is all I need. And she heads off. Only for her son to see he has a special skill, telepathy. I think it's really cool how they visualize it. It makes a lot of sense. I feel like that'd be super useful. And that's probably how like the messaging system in a lot of games work, where it's like you send off a message and you receive a message. As you can see, we have Cartaz or Caratas. I don't know which one is the right spelling. We have Scargo in the middle, and then the mysterious third child and daughter, Mai Mai. We are introduced to Mai Mai as the headmaster of the Royal Academy. Now remember, Mai Mai is a battle mage. She is an attack magic specialist. She is super cool, super influential. Scargo is the high priest. Yeah, he does. It must be very useful. So we have, again, Mai Mai, super cool, very capable. Scargo, very influential and flamboyant, but apparently when it comes to their mother, Mai Mai is a crybaby and Scargo is overbearing. Even in another world, even in the Land of Leadale, Tamaki is very focused on his mom. Now, as you can see, Caratas is the only normal one. Dealing with his siblings, one is very upset and the other one is in shock. Now, as you can see, I have to compile as they are her kids. They have clearly inherited the interesting expression gene from their mom. This is just the collection of their expressions from that one conversation. It's so funny. I love them. The variety, the silliness. The manga artist does such a good job. And of course, somehow he's able to... How do I say this? He's kind of like the Might Guy of Leadale, where, like, you know how Might Guy has the ability where it's not genjutsu? He somehow manages to evoke the... What is it? The youth, water, the flowers, the atmosphere. I don't remember what it was, but it was so funny because everyone's like, it's not a genjutsu. It's just a guy thing. Oops. Meanwhile, while the kids are talking, you know what Kana's doing? Kana's doing her job. Kana is taking on quest, and the quest took her to the Colosseum. Understandable that Caratas is a normal one since he's lore-wise adopted. They're all technically adopted because Kana does not specifically say, well, I kind of want to get into the details of that because she, in 2 different places, One of them, she mentions that all three of her kids are adopted. But then, in another place, she mentions that because Kartaz is a dwarf, he specifically is adopted. So I still am unsure if it's all three of them or not, because it's just, I don't know if it's a translation thing or if it was something they missed, but they basically have both. They mention both. So technically, let's assume they're all adopted. Meanwhile, their mom is very busy. You know why? Her ring. This ring is very special. I didn't mention it earlier, but this is the ring that all skill masters have. It's not sellable, non-transferable. It belongs to them. It basically, number one, allows them to teleport into their tower. So even if someone says the whole magical phrase, they will not get in the tower. Besides, the normal challenge way. And the second, it will tell Kena if another skill master tower is nearby. So now Kena's wondering, is this a tower? Now you might remember earlier when I was talking about the towers, I did show that there was one that was a Colosseum. The reason why Kena is not sure is because this is currently being used. Most of the other towers have kind of been abandoned, but because this one is still in use, I think she just assumed it was a normal Colosseum and not the specific Colosseum that was a skill master's tower. Understandable, Very understandable. What does she do? She summons all of her summons to explore the tower and figure out, because Kena is there to find out why a ghost is haunting the Colosseum. So, one of my favorite things is look at this panel of Kena with the little dragon and his little nails like tugging very gently. Oh my gosh, so cute. Her summons are amazing. I don't know what the giant lobster is for. He only appears once and then he doesn't return. But I'm sure he does cool things as well. And by the way, the middle summon over here, hold on, let me see. Oh, there's a little fairy summon. That's a wind spirit. She's used it before, but I didn't want to use the panels. But I did show it this time because I want to show how many summons she has. This is not all of them. Already here we can see she has 5 of them. She has more. Oh, 6, including her lightning lion. Moving on. As you can see, there's a subplot. The little spoiled prince follows her because he's intent on figuring out her bad side. Because apparently, how do I say this? Because she was so capable and she captured him and she, I guess, embarrassed him in front of his friends. Also, the fact that he is just being a brat. He does not believe that she's a good person, even though his dad and the prime minister have already told him that her kids are literally the 3 most influential people in this kingdom. He still decides to chase after her. 200-year-old elf beefing with a small child. It's more like a small child is trying to beef with someone who could literally flatten the kingdom, and I don't know why the king. Let me be very clear. The little kid has someone following him. Instead of taking this kid and being like, hey, don't provoke the person who could potentially flatten the kingdom, they let him follow her and end up in the situation. It ends up a whole thing, but I don't really care about him. His name is Primo, apparently, but he's not that relevant besides being a brat. But yeah, this is Cerberus. He's a very, very good boy, and he's going to be in charge of Primo as Kena, deals with stuff. Oh yeah, I showed this because I thought it was very funny. He's like, I'm a prince, show some respect. And I'm like, are you kidding? If she wanted to, she could depose your family and put a new one in place and no one would be able to say anything. But she's like, I'll just put him to sleep for now. Now, I don't know if she put him to sleep through the fight or if she used one of her numerous magic spells. I will say, in both the manga and the novel, there is no mention of a magic spell, okay? There is no magic spell specifically mentioned. That's all I'm gonna say. As Kena enters the tower, she finds herself in like a dome. And now each tower is unique to the tower master. So she doesn't know, because even though she's met other skill masters, they're not necessarily all friends. They know each other, but they're not necessarily like very close. And they don't go to each other's towers. They usually just meet up to do stuff. So when she is here, this is for the first time. We meet this new guardian. He is a smoky figure. And it turns out that one of the reasons that there was a ghost is because he was awakened when he sensed Kana's ring, her Skillmaster ring. And when he awakened, he tried to notify her, but he didn't have any mana, so all he could do was appear as like an apparition. He basically is the ghost, trying to get her attention, which was successful. So ultimately, it's fine. Now, it turns out this is the tower of the 9th skill master, Kyotaro. Now, who is Kyotaro? Before we get into Kyotaro, we first must say that Kana finds out and asks about Kyotaro. She is slowly realizing something is not quite right. Because don't forget, Kana knows that her body is probably no longer in the real world. However, through this Colosseum Guardian, which is the second tower she's been to, she is now learning that the game is probably over. Now, this is Kyotaro. He is the Draconian, I guess, race. He is the 9th skill master. And he mentions that they were only managed to get together 12 skill masters. We'll have to bring that back up. The tower went into sleep mode when the master left, and he left his ring with the tower. This is important. Remember, skill masters, number 1, need their ring in order to enter their towers. So as Leadale is no longer in operation, for some reason, Kyotaro left his ring with his guardian. He also says there is a chance that maybe they will meet again somewhere else. Two things to keep in mind. Oh, no. Okay, I almost had to restart this. So, the reason why there were only 12 instead of 13, because this is where we learn, and we learned this earlier in the novel, there are 13 skill masters. Originally 14, but one went into like retirement, so now there's only 13. But at the time, only 12 met up because Kana was gone, and Leadale ended its service. There is a correlation between these two things, but we cannot go into it now because it doesn't go into it until volume 4. So Kana is now in shock. Part of the reason she wanted to go to each of the towers was the hope in her heart that she would meet another player. Because don't forget, even though Kana is very familiar with this game, this is 200 years in the future, and she is now kind of realizing she is by herself. It is extremely shocking and distressing to her. And I think in this moment, this is where it's so interesting that the Guardians have very lifelike. They have their own, they're not just an NPC, they're not just a assistant like Key is, because I mentioned she has Key, but Key cannot do anything but the task that it is assigned to do. In this case, the Guardian, and I don't know if this is intentional, but I feel like it's not, personal thought, I don't think it's not, he sees Kana spiraling, and he immediately draws her attention, says, "My master is gone. I recognize you as the new master of this tower," because Kana is, her ring is the one that reacted. So it kind of makes sense. He's not doing it. It's kind of interesting because he is the one that stops her from spiraling. Through that, Kana is kind of able to realize, crying isn't going to change anything. You cannot quite see it, but in the panel I chose, she is crying. Because don't forget, Kana lost her parents in a horrific accident, and she is sustained by hospital equipment. So she has gone through really difficult, rough times. Only once she is acknowledged as a new master, she starts moving again. She has something to focus on. She has things to do. And she gives her new orders, and she says, let's just let them continue using the Colosseum. Because remember, the Colosseum is currently in use. The reason they stopped is because there was a ghost. So technically now this Colosseum is being used for Colosseum stuff, and it is no longer a skill transfer venue. But that's okay with Kana. She is just trying to move forward. Oh, I jumped it. I didn't know I included it. Now, once Kana exits and once she's given her orders and everything's in operation, she's also given mana, by the way, to the tower, so now I'll be able to communicate with her as needed. Because the tower guardian can contact Kana, and that's usually how she like knows how many players have gone through, if something happened, and things like that. Now, when she returns, she finds good boy Cerberus and spoiled brat Primo. Turns out his father's knights came to pick him up, saw him with Cerberus, who was protecting him like a good boy, and basically were extremely rude to Kana. I didn't include it because they do not deserve screen time. They were extremely stupid, rude, and pretty much Kana was like, I could sick Cerberus on them, but that wouldn't resolve this issue. And I'm like, no. It would have. Because don't forget, Kana's a player, okay? Players think very differently. Her thought was, yeah, Cerberus could probably, like, swallow them. Oh my gosh. But in the end, she also, by the way, doesn't want to be they want to take her to the police basically, but they're taking her into like the guard's office, and she's like, well, that's gonna be a lot of trouble for you. So fortunately, Kana, all she does is show this little badge, which was given to her, by the way, by the Prime Minister, who is apparently from the Marquis family. Very influential. So influential, these men who were yelling at her face, being rude, and in general threatening her with everything except their swords, because let's be honest, there's a gigantic doggo behind her, are now running away. She's like, hey, can you just take him and go? And they're like, of course, and that's why they're running off. And you see the little boy is like, I'll get you, like a third-rate villain. I told you he's not that important. He's just there. Now, poor Kana, she is struggling. So what do we do when we're struggling? We sleep. Now, it's a good idea in theory, and Cerberus is a very good boy. He's there to protect her, and he's very worried. Like, there is a panel where they're very, very concerned, and the way that they expressed it is great. But I chose this one, and the problem is, instead of just taking a nap and saying, I'm gonna deal with this when I wake up, Kana decides to stay in bed for several days. And therefore brings upon the next events onto herself. Now, here are some of my favorite expressions from this volume. They're also silly. I have one very beautiful Kana, and that is the Kana when she is like casting her magic. She is stunning, but the others are so silly. So silly. Now we're in volume 3. Kana is still dealing, because don't forget, she was spiraling. The Guardian broke her out of her spiral, but once she has to face it again, she's saying she's never gonna meet anyone that she knows again. She can't lie in bed forever, but what can she do? And she tries to remind herself, like, hey, I met so many people, I still have my kids, there's people who are here for me. But that's really tough because she's dealing with the very difficult realization she may be the only person from that like shares her experience, that understands what she's going through. She's alone, even though she's technically not alone. But that's rough, and I think that's why, as an isekai, one of the things that I think is never really explored is how do they deal with that loss. Sometimes it's delved into. I remember one where they basically gave them a skill so that they wouldn't spiral, and I was like, oh, but it's not something that's really explored, right? And I think the manga does a really good job of illustrating that tug of war Kana's going through. Like, yes, I know I still have people here who care for me. Yes, I know these people are real, but I still feel alone and I don't know how to deal with that. Now, what happens? Her son comes to visit her. Now, let me just say, her son didn't know at first, and no, they didn't tell him on purpose. Her siblings, no, not her siblings, her other two kids, Mai Mai and Kartaz, know she's not doing well. They deliberately did not tell Scargo, and the Prime Minister is the one who tells him, and then Scargo pops in. And you want to know Kana's reaction? Stage 1. Her skills start activating. Poison resistance, curse resistance, mental ailment resistance, because you'll find out more later. Stage 2. Shock. Stage 3. This, I'm not even joking. It literally just says cringe. Now, I didn't show you. Her son gives her basically a 4-part performance. If you want to see it, you'll have to read the volume. And the result? Well, let's just say that instead of a slipper, instead of a hanger, instead of anything, he still gets his lesson, but in a different way. The Leadale way. Now, of course, Mai Mai and Kartaz are trying to cut him off and, stop him from bothering their mom, and they're not successful. Now, if you see the little barrier around Kana, that is a full isolation barrier. No magic, sound, or anything can penetrate that, and it is basically like the ultimate barrier. So, until Kana brings down that barrier, nothing can reach her. She is so embarrassed. So Mai Mai and Kartaz take Scargo away. They put him in a coffin. That is a coffin. And I can't figure out if those are Mai Mai's students, like fellow mages, or if they're Karataz's men who are like in disguise to not embarrass the high priest. Because I don't think they are also priests. Because if you see later, priests are dressed differently. So they're either Mai Mai's mages or Karataz's workers. But yeah, they're basically they're gonna deal with him. Now, this is important. I picked this panel specifically because one of the things with Kana is she is level 1100. She is a skill master. But to people in this era of Leadale, she's basically a god. Like, so many of her abilities are unfathomable. Like, for example, when she used the skill to create the crystal coin. No one knows how to do that, but Kana does. So that's why her kids are constantly on alert. They are concerned because according to the memory correction, the lore they have, their mom went to the forest because she no longer wanted to deal with people. So they're like, uh-oh, why did she leave the forest? What is she here to do? Is she here to demolish a country? Yeah, maybe. But basically, Mai Mai, even her kids know that compared to their mom, they basically don't have any skills. And that is how crazy of an individual she technically is. Like, Kana's skill level is just beyond anyone in the continent. Now, this is just for sillies. So Scargo wakes up. Why does he wake up? He says he knows why mom felt the need to punch him. He thought he needed a better outfit. Now, I didn't show this outfit because the outfit was so ostentatious. I thought that it would blind you all. But if you're interested, you can take a look. You can take a look in the manga. But I'll tell you, that is not why his mom. That is not, he's basically, he is Tamaki. Yeah, I know. Of course your outfit is very important, but not to the extent that he decides, okay? Now, this is the other thing I mentioned with Scargo. You remember how Kana, her stage 1 response to Scargo was to activate her abilities? It's because Scargo is using a skill called Oscar. What it does is it allows people to see various special effects depending on their mood. So everyone can see it. That is basically why Scargo constantly has like roses and like what is it called? The rushing waves. It's because of the skill. Now, the reason this comes up is because Kartaz warns his mom that Scargo basically always has this ability on. He's It's basically become his signature, and she's embarrassed. She's so embarrassed for him because this was apparently a skill no one used in Leadale, but it is a skill she knows for the sake of being a skill master. But yeah, her son uses it to the fullest. Uses it to the fullest. He's basically doing constant genjutsu. It's crazy. Now, it's so funny because Kana actually decides and she kind of comes to terms with it. I guess like the shock of her son being a ridiculous fool is what wakens her up enough. So she's like, you know what? I just have to deal with it. I'm alive. I still have to live. I have things I need to deal with. So once she comes out, she bumps into Karatas, who came to see his mom again. He's very excited that she is awake, but also the fact that, how do I say this? It's unlikely that she is going to hit someone again. I guess that's the way I can explain it. Because he's basically in the novel, he's very glad that she's okay. But okay in the sense, like, he said that she is no longer prone to emotional outburst. Like, I understand. Kana is deadly, but it's just very funny. But in the manga, it's more like, oh, I'm glad you're okay, and now I don't have to worry about, like, more people. Well, I guess it's like he has to pay for more repairs, because one of the things that he and Mai does is they had to clean up, so they paid for everything and apologized to the innkeeper. But yeah, as you can see, Kana's very glad to see her son, but one of the things I want to highlight, this is so funny to me. She says, maybe we're better off erasing him and reinstalling him with a more normal personality. She's so casual about being like, yeah, my son's an idiot. Maybe I have to like completely restart him from scratch. Now, Karatas is a very good little brother. He reminds his mom that his older brother is an important figure. He does his job well. He's very well respected. And Kana's like, oh yeah, even though he's weird, I can't only judge him based on his weirdness. But she's so casual about like eliminating her son, and her other son is just like, hey, he's a respectable man. The response isn't don't like, you know, it's like, how do I say this? I was watching the Superstore clips, and one of them was like, isn't the lesson don't fart in cups? And they're like, yes, in a perfect world, that'd be the lesson, but we're in the real world, so that's kind of like how I feel happens, because they're just so casual about it. I think they know that Kana could do it, but at the same time, they're like, I don't know, their reactions are so interesting. Kana reminds herself, hey, I still have my family. Her family is her 3 kids. And she thinks that's enough for her. Now, adventure. I'm just kidding. That will get me copyright striked. Basically, Kana, as you can see on the left here, these are the various quests she has completed. Now, she completes these quests offline. And by offline, I mean we don't see them. It's not in a novel. It's not in a manga. It's kind of like briefly glossed over. But she's been doing a couple of things. I think the novel might go a little more in depth into it, but this is where I stopped reading, so I don't know. I will continue reading and give you an update next time. But they basically gloss it over. She accomplishes a couple of really amazing things, and people are like, wow. Now she has a reputation in the capital. As we mentioned, one of the things that Kana wants to do is to find other towers. She decides she is going to continue doing it because it's kind of like for the memory of the people she used to know. Now, the merchant, Elena, he had told her, hey, I'm going to the northern capital. Do you want to go with me? This is important because remember, there was that beautiful castle in the middle of the water that no one can enter. So, the reason why Elena is asking Kana to go with him is because bandits have blocked off other trade routes. And he thinks that being with Kana will be safer for a lot of reasons, but they aren't planning to confront the bandits. It's just like they need to make the trip. Now, when Kana is telling her kids she has to leave, Scargo is in shock. Mai is crying. But of course, do you guys see this? It's Kartaz there. It was Karataz earlier. Okay. Her third son, I'm so sorry, I want to say your name, but it's spelled 2 ways and I don't know which way is right. Her third son was fine, but the other 2 kids are very upset. How upset are they? Mai Mai is so upset she asked Kana to deliver something for her. Now, the reason I say she's so upset she asked her to deliver stuff is there is a surprise for Kana. Is it a good surprise? Is it a surprise that Mai Mai should be happy about sharing? Maybe, maybe not. But Kartaz knows what it is. Now, on the way to the Northern Kingdom, one of the reasons why Kana is so excited to go with the caravan is they promised to stop at the little village that Kana started in. This allows her to reunite with Lit and Mario and everyone. Hiccup. Now, what's important to know is that Lit does know Kana's secret. What is Kana's secret? It's that she is the Silver Witch, because one of the things that she did promise Lit was, hey, I'll return. But as you guys know, sometimes words aren't enough. So instead, Kana tells her a secret and says, hey, I'm gonna return to make sure you aren't telling anyone. And it's a very cute thing. I adore their bond. Kana actually bonds with Lit's older sister, who is married. And it's really important for Kana in the novel because her older sister is like a woman her age, and they're able to talk about things that Kana probably couldn't discuss with anyone else. So that bond is so important to her in the novel. In the manga and the anime, nah. She doesn't have that, and I feel so bad, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the manga has like different characters that Kana is gonna bond to. Because I do think it's important for her to have like female friends her age that she can discuss things with. And that is what Lit's older sister is to her in the novel. So I hope that they're able to give her that kind of figure in the manga. The anime doesn't have it. I'll just say it straight up. The anime doesn't have it. But the manga might, because the manga is also ongoing. So we'll see. We'll see. Now when Kana, I almost forgot her name for a sec. Whoa. When Kana returns to the village, one of the things they mention is that there is a weird sound coming from the well that Kana built. It's gotten so bad that some of the kids are too scared to get the water. So the mayor tries to commission Kana, and after like a back and forth of her wanting to be like, hey, I'll do it for free, and the other mercenaries be like, hey, this is important for other adventurers, you might ruin the economy. So what Kana does is she accepts free room and board from the village in exchange for going to investigate the well. Now, if you see the little fish there, the little flying fish, they are spirits, water spirits. They will appear again later. We will discuss them later. But this is her underwater equipment. It looks very aerodynamic, and it actually looks like a legitimate wetsuit. What was in the well? It was a mermaid. Now, this mermaid was an important person. This mermaid is an important person because she's a recurring character. Also, she's one of the chibis at the top there. We will discuss more about this mermaid later. Basically, she ended up in the well by accident, and she has no idea how she got there. No idea where her home is because she lived in her home her entire life. So even Kana can't really figure out where she is because she doesn't know the region, the surrounding countries. She doesn't have like distinguishable features of her place so that Kana can start working backwards. Basically, the mermaid is going to stay in the village temporarily until they figure out where she's from. Also, the horse is a horse, it's an earth spirit. It's basically a giant chess piece, and Kana has used them before. She's used like other chess pieces. This one she probably chose like the horse form so that the mermaid could ride. But yeah, the mermaid becomes a resident of the village and they explain everything. And it's very cute. Now, what's really important in the next upcoming one, this is where I started to crunch. This is starting where I got to crunch. Wait, let me just make sure. I don't think I missed anything in my notes. Okay. I did mention all that. Okay. Oh, okay. Something I didn't mention. I'm just going to mention it really quickly. In the manga, Kana doesn't have her breakdown, I guess, for like, oh, I'm in a game. Oh, I am alone. Oh, what's going on? I have no idea how to move forward. She doesn't have the breakdown until after she talks to the Tower Guardian, right? In the novel, Kana has her breakdown at the very beginning of the novel. And it's not a full breakdown, but she goes through several really difficult moments where she doesn't know if she wants to go downstairs. She doesn't know if she wants to talk to anyone. She's basically in denial, and it's very strongly emphasized in the novel. So it's interesting that in the manga, they moved that until later. Because Kana still kind of has like a hard time at the beginning of the manga, but she's still able to like relatively quickly pull herself together before, losing hope. So that's why it's interesting that the manga and the novel had different approaches and like ways to moments for her to like in the novel it's kind of like Kana is in shock. She doesn't know what to do, she doesn't know what's going on kind of breakdown. In the manga it's like Kana has no hope kind of breakdown. I'm interested because I stopped reading the novel halfway. Maybe the novel gives her a second breakdown, and if they do, I feel so bad. I feel so bad because the first one was already hard enough to read, and it wasn't like intense, but it was very emotional, and you could tell that the author tried to convey her like very it's not like scattered mindset. It was really rough. Okay, yeah, so that's why it's interesting the way that they do it. I do prefer the manga. I do recommend the manga if you guys want to choose one medium, but if you read both, it does give you a more well-rounded perspective. Let me see. I wrote a note here. It just says, who would laugh at Kana? And I don't know where it's from. I don't know what it's referencing. Wow, okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other notes. Now I can just continue. I'll figure out what that note means later. But as you can see here, Kana and the caravan move on from the village, and as they move forward, they realize the bridge is broken. Now, what would you guys do if a bridge was broken? Because in Kana's view, there are 3 options. I guess for most people, it'd be find another route, but don't forget, everywhere in... they actually didn't mention this. In the kingdom they're in, there's a lot of rivers. There's a lot of rivers. That's why they're so... why it's like a great place to live. But that also means that it's they have to cross these bridges in order to get to other places. Now, Kana's options are building a bridge. But she doesn't want to do it because, as you can see, the tree is yelling at her because she can feel and hear the emotions of trees and plants, so she can't collect materials. She does do it sometimes. However, she basically has to mentally prepare herself and use a special weapon that, number 1, induces fear, gets them to be quiet, and also allows her to cut things more easily. Because she doesn't usually do this. Second, she could freeze the river. But I do think it's interesting. She's like, it's pretty bad for the environment. And she isn't like, oh, I'll just melt it with fire and then boil everything. The third is walking on water. For some reason, this is the easiest option. So that's why, number 1, they have to be careful about it because the spell can wear off. But number 2, this is the easiest option, but we'll see very soon something will happen. This is the water spirit Kana summoned earlier. It is level 2. Now, it's very tiny. However, she says it could beat a bunch of average humans in a fight. How does it do it? Does it use water? Does it like sucker punch them in the face and then it like gets them? I don't know. I want to see the little fish fight. I want to see that, and maybe we'll see it in the anime. I don't know. But as they are walking, everything is going well. Everyone's excited. Everything's going great. All of a sudden, I'm so sorry to those of you who get very upset when an animal passes away in a story. This particular horse does not make it. I do not include the panel. It is not too gory. There's no gore in this. It is Just that the horse does not make it, unfortunately. Now, what was that, you might ask? Because that's all it shows, by the way. It looks like the Venus flytrap. That's all it shows. It doesn't show anything else. It turns out it is that particular dragonfly we saw flying in the sky. That is the larvae. It lives in these waters. You see, it has like the little bug. Remember this? You see the dragonflies? That was it. That is what ate the horse. That is terrifying. I 100% agree with Kana. Now that they have short one horse, what does Kana do? She tries to use her summons. Her summons in order to help them because now they need someone to pull another caravan. She has two other options. The Cerberus, which they refuse because it's a Cerberus. The second is a centaur. I forgot to include an image of the centaur because I was in a rush. He is very noble, he speaks, and he is very, refuses to be a horse, basically. No! This is P. He is a baby crimson pig, and he is doing his job. He is doing his best. I will include every single panel of P if I could. See, this is the adult form of him. He's basically a Pokemon. Look at how cute he is! Oh my gosh, P is my favorite character. That is why P is one of the little chibis. The other two are Elisna and Arbiter, by the way. I don't remember the mermaid's name. She does have a name. I don't remember it. I'm so sorry. Now, as you can see, they knew that there were bandits here and they actually stumble upon their headquarters. What they believe to be the headquarters, because this used to be a guard post, used to be a fortress. Everyone is there ready, and you can see P in the background. He's so excited. He's so cute. And who are the bandits? Well, it's one guy with like a mage, and then a bunch of guys with weapons. Weapons. Now, what does that magic staff do? It uses Fireball. I told you, Fireball is so overrated. Now, Fireball attacks Kana. But do you truly believe that little spark is enough to attack her? Absolutely not. You see, this is the centaur, and then you can see the Cerberus on the side. By the way, they have a person in their mouth. They do cover with the bubble, though. All her summons are basically fighting, except P. For some reason, I feel like if P-chan just walked around, he would like get rid of a lot of bandits, but we never get to see that, but that's okay. So what does Kana fight fire with? It's not fire. She fights fire with magic skill, convert, blue ice of white knight, Liza Lagiga. Now I have, like I said, the magic system in this, I don't think I'll ever figure it out. All I know is apparently there's a really cool magic spell she's using. She basically does Kamehameha, and as we can see his reaction here, he says, but that's kind of spell you only find in fairy tales. Kind of like, you know, the classic villain. He's like, how did you become so powerful? Now, I don't show you his ending, but he basically turns into an icicle. He turns into an icicle. She's very powerful. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I didn't. Okay. See, this is what happens when I, like, duplicate. Sometimes I forget to delete the one. Now, what is the staff he used? It turns out it's a consumable item from the past. So that's why he was so confident. It has 10 charges. He's used 3. We find out later he did use it to get rid of the guards that were at the fortress. But it basically, because it's an ancient item, it's so much more powerful than the current magic. That's why he was so proud and, like, powerful. And as you can see, we have P-chan and the little summons here, just enjoying it as they're like talking about it. By the way, Kana does ask Arbiter and to take the staff to the Adventurers Guild to report everything. And he does it, even though he's kind of reluctant. But she's like, well, who else could we trust with this? Because, you know, this is dangerous. Anyone can use it. It used to be pretty cheap, though. So that's why Kana's not too impressed. But yeah. So now what happens? Turns out Arbiter wants to challenge Kana. Kana uses her special weapon. golden hoop snap, which is really cool. It has a really cool transformation effect. I just didn't have time. This is what I was doing at the beginning of stream, so that's why it's kind of messy. Now here are some of the favorite expressions. Now you're probably wondering what happened in the outcome of that battle. It was a draw. They fought each other, but it wasn't like a brawl or anything. They kind of like met low for like they were just attacking each other, but it didn't get anything too intense and neither of them were really harmed. It was just a good exchange of weapons. But we see a mysterious figure, and part of the reason I couldn't show it is because I want to use it for a question later. But that is what happened. Here are my favorite expressions from this volume. I know it is a reference. It is definitely a reference to that specific staff. But as you can see, look at all the cuties. It's so funny. And as you can see, one of them is even like when Arbiter is able to walk on water, the shock on everyone's face, it was so good. So good. There's even a scene of him like excitedly gallivanting across the water. I wanted to include that, but I didn't have time. But highly recommend. I hit a lot of the main points of this story. If you want, I highly recommend you check out it for yourself. There's so many great moments. The pacing, the panels, the expressions they did, everything is done so well. It was such a good read. So good. Highly recommend. Now here's the discussion part. I've been talking for like 2 hours. Question for you guys. Who is your favorite character so far? Out of all the characters we've met, who is your favorite? I should also mention, I unfortunately am not looking at Marshmallow. I should have mentioned this at the beginning. I forgot. Marshmallow is not working for me right now. So I'm so sorry I didn't mention it, but if anyone has sent marshmallows, I promise I'm not ignoring them. It's just Marshmallow is not working. I'm not receiving anything and I can't log in. Don't know why. Who? Oh, Mimily. Is that the name of the mermaid? Oh, so Mimily's your favorite character. Fair enough, fair enough. I think some of my favorite character, besides Kana, I adore Kana. She's the reason why I am like so pushing for this series, is because I adore Kana's character. She is not perfect. She definitely isn't. But I really admire how she constantly gets up and tries. And that's very difficult. She's been through so much, but for her to still push and to try and to reach out, I think that's so admirable. It's not easy. I think so many of the characters are great characters and they are recurring. I do enjoy seeing them, and I think that the author does a really good job of maintaining their characters. Like they're pretty, so far that I've read, they're pretty consistent. So no qualms about that. Now, what character do you guys want to see more of? Now, there are quite a few characters. I've pointed out a couple that you know will be recurring, but is there a character that you guys are like, you want to see more of? Mimily. Alright, fair enough. I will say that you will see more of her. Mimily does pop up again because don't forget, Kana has to help her find her way home. So don't worry, you'll see more of her definitely. Personally, I want to see more of Kana's summons. If I counted correctly, she has at least 8. But there are still many more that I think she hasn't summoned yet. But so far she has at least 8 or 9, which is crazy. They're all for like different purposes and apparently some of them have levels. I want to see more summons. And more P-chan. I want to see more P-chan. That's okay. If I had to pick one character I want to see more of, it'd be P-chan. Now, is there a scene that stood out to you guys the most and why? Now, I apologize for the O. I don't know why. This particular font, when I was typing, I never noticed, but apparently O's, double O's, have to be like that. I don't know. No! Never bacon! No. Never for P-chan. Although they don't mention what P-chan likes to eat, I'm very curious. Because Crimson Boars look pretty hungry. I don't know about the baby Crimson Pigs, but... So for me personally, 2 scenes stood out to me the most. One is for being like silly. Number one is the lightning lion scene at the beginning where I mentioned it was one of my favorites. There's a couple reasons for it because in the novel, when she does the lightning lion scene, how do I say this? The troublemakers were much more insolent and also the way that it was approached. So in the manga, you see that the lightning lion is like waiting for the troublemakers. Oh, well, you don't see it. I didn't show you guys. But in the manga, the lightning lion is basically waiting for them. And there's also another spell Kana uses, which is like a darkness spell to like make everything very dark. So it's very spooky to them. As the lightning lion chases them, it's very straightforward, right? The lightning lion just chases them and then he goes back. In the novel, they specifically say that the lightning lion does not come out until he senses the troublemakers. Once he senses them, he slowly approaches them because they're almost pretty much in the room. Once they do, it's much more descriptive about like them falling off the ladder, them running away. One of them is literally like begging the other one not to leave them behind because they are so scared of this lightning lion. And I think the novel actually portrays the scene a little more vividly, but the manga does it in a way that's very concise and it does give it a good effect. I do say that the cuddling scene of the lightning lion, that is a manga exclusive. In the light novel, the lion goes back to the ring afterwards, but in the manga, I really appreciate the cuddling scene. It's just such a warm thing that all of Kana's summons love to cuddle with her. Ninth Tower scene was nice, shows off the skill master's different aesthetics, and runner-up will be the introduction of Mimily. Honestly, I thought that was gonna be your favorite, but it's true. I do also think that establishing the different towers is very important. So something that you guys may or may not have noticed, in this background, there's the tower, right? Every cover is a different tower. That is kind of spoilery, but if you look at the different light novel covers, that is a different skill master tower in each one. So that's a pretty interesting way to distinguish it. So far, we've only been introduced to 2 of the towers, right? Or 3. I guess technically we know about the tower that's in the sky, and we also know about a tower that gives you a quiz. But we know that there are 13 of the towers in existence. So it's going to be super interesting to see and meet the different guardians and the towers and see what it is based on the characteristics of the skill master. Oh, this is where it came from. Okay. You see this? So this was in the very first volume. It says, I need to focus on figuring out how this world works. I just know he'd laugh at me if I froze up now. Who do you guys think is the person that would laugh at Kana? Now, this is a prediction for anyone who might be new to my book club series. I do discussion and then predictions, and then next time we discuss this, I'll bring back these predictions to see if we're correct or not, or just to discuss them more. Who do you guys think would be someone that could laugh at Kana? Because she's very specific. This is actually a moment in the volume. I kind of hesitated to put it in the original run-through or not, because this is one of the things that forces Kana to like analyze and calmly evaluate what's going on. This person, her partner in crime during their Black Territory wars. Okay. One of her old party members. Let me write these down so I can have them for next time. Partner in crime. Yep, they do mention her partner in crime in the manga, but they don't mention her guild yet. Her guild is a very, very famous guild, so I'm surprised they don't bring it up yet. From Black Territory Wars. Old party members. It's definitely someone close to her and someone important enough to her that it would like force her to be more aware, right? Second, what do you think caused the vortex that brought Mimily to Kana's well? Now, do you think that this is an accident, crazy black hole out of nowhere? Is it a spatial distortion? Because apparently in Isekai, the big thing now is spatial distortion, because when you summon people to another world, it causes a tear in the space dimension of the world. Surely it won't be her uncle. I'm gonna write that down. Not her uncle. I don't think so. And not her uncle. Kana does have family, by the way. I don't think I mentioned this, but Kana does have her grandfather and her uncle and his family in the real world. And they were the ones who were taking care of her after her parents were gone. Okay, so the guess is the vortex is caused by a tower under the sea. The reason I bring this up is because isn't it a little fantastical that Mimily just so happened to end up in the village that Kana was in the well that she fixed? Don't know. A mantis. Okay, fighting seafood. I wrote it down. It is now one of the predictions. Now, who could this be? Now, this is the last slide. We have reached 142 slides. And some of them were errors, but 142 give or take. Now, this is very important because remember when Arbiter and Kana were fighting? There was this person who used magic, and apparently Ki tells Kana there was hypnosis suggestion magic carried by the wind, and that is likely what caused Arbiter to want to fight Kana, because Arbiter mentions after their fight, hey, I actually didn't want to fight you, I don't know what came over me. And it also shows that there are various mercenaries who were suddenly invigorated, wanting to fight. Who could this guy be? So you think it's a potential foster NPC. Oh, I didn't mention the foster system. I'll have to elaborate on that. Hold on. Foster NPC from another region. Old buddy. Fair enough. Now I can kind of go through and answer questions and things like that. Or the friend that could laugh at her. Yeah, that's not a possibility. Hold on, let me write it down. Yeah, I don't believe it's an NPC either. I will say the story's not over yet. So I don't know either, but I don't think it's an NPC. Or friend... Hold on, could laugh at her. Okay, so let me explain the foster NPC system, because I realized it was in my notes, I just forgot to mention it. Oh, NPC of that friend. I see. Well, okay, NPC of friend. Also could be a dev, you're right, maybe, because we know that Leadale was an actual functioning game. Now let me explain the fostering system a bit more. I've run out of slides. But the foster system in this game was that characters, or players, could make up to 3 additional characters. Now, why did they make these additional characters? For storage. They basically had these NPCs act as additional storage until they got their own base. And once they got their own base, then these NPCs were kind of just there. So what the devs did was they said that they would buy NPCs from the players. Now, depending on the skill set of your NPC, they could become important people in different roles and different things. So once you have an NPC that is bought by the admins, you, number 1, earn half of whatever they earn. That's why you can make a lot of money. I'm pretty sure that's why Kana does not worry about money, because her 3 kids make so much. They are such important figures. I doubt that combined with her own stores, she has anything to worry about. Second, when it comes to these NPCs, is you have to establish them as a character. So you have to give them a backstory, something that connects you to them, and also they are out of your hands then. Like the devs take full control of that NPC. I have the manga open? I have the manga with me. I don't have it open. But I will answer questions about the manga if you have any. Let me finish this though. The only last thing I want to mention about this foster NPC system is that you do not have to adopt the kids. So not all NPCs are kids of players. They can be other things. They just have to have some kind of relationship. Volume 1, 106, up to 2 characters. Is it? Wait. That is not correct. It's 3. Because it says Kana fostered 3 sub-characters. So how can she do that if they were only allowed to do up to 2? I think that might be an error. Because even other player... Oh, shoot. No! I said nothing. Well, anyways. So, I don't know. It should be 3. Does novel or light novel say anything different? It does. Hold on. Let me find the novel page. So the novel... Okay. Where'd it go? Okay, that's it. Where did it go? Where do they describe it? This is when she's healing. Oh, where did she meet her? Oh, there it is, there it is. Okay. So here... For a small fee, you can create up to 2 characters. Then how does she have 3? On page 43 of the light novel, it does say up to 2 characters, but she clearly has 3. Huh? Okay, well, I don't know. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. I don't know if it's up to 2 because it's very clear that Kana does have 3 characters, even if they say, it does specifically mention Dorfer's adopted. Yeah, but it's still her sub-character. She does, in both the light novel and the manga, say that she created 3 sub-characters. That's why, don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like the magic system. What is canon? How does the system work? We don't know. But yeah, that's why it's confusing. I will say, it's also like Karataz and Kartaz. I don't know which one's the right one. They use both spellings in the manga and the light novel. So, is his name Karataz? Is his name Kartaz? Well, you might never know. Yeah, I know. As someone who was trying to make a timeline, I was also confused. It only gets more confusing later on, so we're gonna try to make sense of it as we can. But anyways, that was In the Land of Leadale Volume 1, technically, of the light novel, and the first 3 volumes of the manga. My voice is pretty shot. However, if anyone still has questions, if you still have something you want to say, you are welcome to say it now before I end the stream. Actually, I was gonna ask, what did you guys think? Did you guys enjoy this? Do you guys want to continue reading this again? This is one of my favorite series and something I really wanted to do. I do like this format. I like using the manga to do it. The sticker that was placed in my book was in fact covering some dialogue. Oh no, that's the worst! That's the worst. I'm so sorry to hear that. If that was the security sticker, I'm sorry to hear that. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I want to continue perhaps talking more about more manga in the future because now that I have this format, I think this kind of works. I did spend more time on the visuals this time, so hopefully that was also enjoyable as well. It wasn't perfect, but I'll get better at this. It will be interesting to see the difference between manga and anime. It's true. So if anyone is interested, this Sunday I'll be doing a watch along. We'll be watching the first 4 episodes of In the Land of Leadale anime so that we can kind of talk about it and compare it to the manga/light novel. Also excited for video whenever it gets released. Thank you. I hope I can get it out before next book club. Next book club will be in probably 2 months. I'm trying to give myself a lot of room because I find that when I put it too close together, it does not work out and I have to delay it anyways. So by giving myself 2 months, it has worked kind of better. It's just that I got really inspired this time and my inspiration was exceeded my current skill set. Not that I can't make my vision, it just takes me longer because I don't know the shortcuts to get the result I want. Have I decided on which book? I think we're gonna do one more of In the Land of Leadale because I like after we do 4, 5, and 6 of the manga, volume 7 is not gonna come out for a while. So it might be worth it to do In the Land of Leadale volume 2 of the light novel and 4, 5, 6 of the manga so that next time we'll just have to accumulate anyways and then I can do other books in between. But I'm interested in kind of varying the next one we read because now that I know I can do manga, I am very excited to share some more. It's okay, there'll be 2 months for you to try to locate it. And of course, maybe by then it will be in a local library. I'm really hopeful. For anyone who would like to join in future sessions, I always recommend to check out your local library to see if you like the book. And then if you really love it, definitely buy it and support the artist. This particular one is licensed in English and I think a bunch of other languages if you also speak other languages and prefer to get those editions. Some of those editions are so nice. I wish we got nice collector edition English volumes, but we don't. It's okay. I still really love the manga adaptation, so I do recommend that. But if you are curious, the light novel does go up to volume 8, and the anime goes up to episode 10, or is it 12? But we'll only be covering the first 4 in order to kind of keep in the same timeline as what we've covered so far. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for joining. I think this, after 4 of these, I have finally kind of figured out how I want to go. I mentioned that it is currently ongoing and very old. It's not that old. I feel like it's... Hold on. When did... In the Land of Leadale... It was... online in 20... Oh god, it was online in 2010. Okay, fine. It's a little... The light novel did appear 2010, yes. The light novel was serialized in 2019. That's why it was not as old as I thought. The manga also started 2019 and we only have 7 volumes so far. But the anime was 2022. Yes, you are right. Yeah, it was 2010. Wow. Yeah, light novel is currently volume 8. The author has said he's currently working on it. It's just that he's currently hit a bit of a stumbling block. I don't blame him. 8 volumes in 15 years. The thing is, the reason it took him so long is because he is changing it. Like, he's taking the version, a lot of authors, they take the web novel version and sometimes they will rewrite it for the light novel. And that's what he's doing. That's why it's taking so long. So it's fair, very fair. I'm willing to wait. In the meantime, I will have plenty to read because I am not done with volume 1 yet, but I do have volumes 1 to 4. I think I have the first 4 volumes. I bought them back then, a while back, because at the time they were on sale, and I'm really glad I did. Was Web the original? It was. He did first publish it online on like a web novel site, and then he got serialized and noticed and officially published, formally published, I guess you should say. But the web novel version was the original, the very original. A lot of the light novels I read are actually, they start from web novels and then they become serialized. And I really enjoy exploring stories that way. Quite a few novels went on hiatus in the past, and when that thing happened, yeah, that's also true. That's also very true. I think that played a big part in it. And I'm pretty sure the fact that he got an anime really motivated him as well, because the animes take years, right? So they probably already knew an anime was coming out, so that probably really encouraged him to continue writing. The canon is changing, but the thing about In the Land of Leadale is it didn't change a lot. Some of the things he refined, or he changed some of the dialogue, but a lot of the core stuff of In the Land of Leadale, the lore and the settings, none of that changed. He just changed some dialogue, and I think some of the, I guess he tightened it up a little bit. He took out some of the filler. So don't worry if it's the lore, it is very much intact, very much valid, very much the same. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for me. My voice is shot, my water is gone, but I feel very accomplished. I'm so glad that it turned out the way I wanted to, and I actually really like this format. So even though it only took me 5 hours, that makes me hopeful for future, the next book club. Anyways, thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed this dive into the land of Leodale. In the land of Leodale. I don't know why I keep saying into the land of Leodale. But I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion / dive. It was more of me telling you what happened, so I'm going to refer to it as a dive into the land. This is why I keep saying into. I keep saying it as if we're going into the land. We technically are. But I hope you guys enjoyed this dive into volume 1. If you are interested, definitely check it out for yourself. There's still so many things I couldn't fully cover, even though I've been talking for 2.5 hours, technically. Still so much to enjoy and explore. I am so excited. This Sunday we'll be watching the anime, the first 4 episodes. If you're interested, feel free to pop in for that. If you haven't, you can subscribe so you can get notifications. I always make my waiting rooms in advance so you know exactly what and when I'll be streaming. I usually do cozy games on Wednesday, which is Tiny Bookshop right now. Friday, I'm planning to do Digimon Survive. We'll be continuing that now that it's fall. And then on Sundays, I'm usually doing Fantasy Life, which is an RPG. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Very similar to this. In a lot of aspects, but also it's a very interesting game. So if you're interested in any of that, you can subscribe and for more content. As always, thank you so much for watching, whether you're chatting, lurking, or watching the VOD. I appreciate you all for sharing your time with me, and thank you for hearing me talk about one of my all-time favorite series. Honestly, this is such a comfort series for me, and I hope it brought you guys a little bit of comfort or joy, or even just a little bit of interest, you know? As always, remember to drink water. Don't be like me. Bring more water. Stretch and take care of yourselves. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you guys this Sunday. Until next time!